We're going to address the allegations. Talk about my trust fund. Connection. 1 for 1. Oh, short on that. There we go. One more. All right. Let's go see how we did. Mangoes in the winter. Can you believe it? Not too bad. A little bit low, but all right. Okay, this video, we're gonna address the the trust fund allegations, and I'm gonna be unnecessarily transparent in this video and talk about money, things I've been through, hardships, and so on. So at the same time, I get YouTube comments that are like, yo, it took me 30 seconds of watching, see where you live, hear you talk, read your description to know that you have a trust fund. And I have a lot of comments like that. At the same time, there's a lot of comments that are like, you look homeless, and you're broke. So I'm like, which one is it? Make up your mind. So you can't, I mean, I want to make myself look humble and not like I have a trust fund. And I also want to make myself look like do well financially and not homeless, right? I'm trying to walk the balance here. But really, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to live my life in the way that makes sense to me. But yeah, I want to talk about it. So, by the way, welcome in, much love, fam. Trav here. If you don't know me, I'm an adventure entrepreneur living on Oahu, and I manage a little bit of money. Now, my dad was a attorney, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we were middle-class family, okay? Not super wealthy, but definitely above average. Now, only once in my life did my dad show his tax returns of what his reported income to me in my entire, so 1 year he showed, and it showed like the last 5 years or 4 years. Other than that, I do not know how much he made. He didn't talk about it. He was not transparent. So from what I saw, and this was in when I was the 2000s, okay, early mid 2000s, he had made 100 something, 100 something, 200 something, and then it dropped off to $50,000. So we went from $250,000 made in a year, or 200,000. I remember he paid, it might have been less or more. I remember he paid 50 grand or 70 grand in taxes, something crazy. But the next year he only made 50. So, this was the sort of situation. He had worked his way up to be at a major law firm and was making a lot of money, but he was working crazy hours and wasn't home. So he decided to quit and start his own work from home practice. And this allowed him to spend more time with me and my brother when we were teenagers. So, I don't know. I don't think he ever made six figures in his own practice, especially when a couple years later, the financial crisis hit in 2007, 2008. And he's like, actually, I don't have even money to pay your rent. At this point, I was in college and was getting some support from them. And they're like, you got to start paying your own rent. Cash flow problem, no money. And he didn't save money either. He did not invest. He didn't invest other than equity in a house. So it's kind of scary when he had no money. It's like there's nothing in the bank neither, right? So I grew up side hustling. I remember one of the first ones was I was selling origami and Pokemon cards at the school fair, and I don't know if it was third grade. Yeah, in third grade. So that was one of my first side hustles. Or just doing different chores for my mom for allowance. I remember in middle school, 7th grade, I was selling Magic the Gathering booster packs out of my locker. And I had different rare sheets. I was selling rares to kids in the school for $1 a pop, like junk rares. So I was always hustling. And I got my first job when I was 16. I think I was making $5 something an hour. I was working for Skyhawks Sports Academy, right? I was a little camp counselor. What else did I do? I worked in my friend's dad's law firm for like $8 an hour scanning files when they're putting their files online. I worked minimum wage security job, like event staffing, the yellow jacket guys at like festivals and casino events and concerts and stuff, making like $7 an hour when minimum wage was raised. I worked in food service during college. I worked in the dorms in food service, and I also worked at a restaurant. I was hustling on the Magic the Gathering front. I was doing coaching by the time I was like 21 or 22. I was writing articles, getting paid for that. So I was basically on my own after school, and I went travel. I left Seattle. I even tried to come back and try to stay at my parents' for a little bit, and they're like, no, you got to get out of here. But one of the things that happened when I was 25, this channel that you're watching, it used to be a Magic the Gathering channel. I got involved in some controversy. I just wasn't I didn't know how to manage the attention. I was arguing with people in the comments, created a lot of enemies, and then I had controversial content at which people who didn't like me took it viral to Twitter, and this was early cancel culture days when there was a lot of power there. And I got canceled, and the main industry that I had worked in for most of my life, because I didn't just start, like, I grew up playing this game, and I was writing articles from the age of, like, 14, 15, too, so, like, 10 years, many years invested in this. I'm basically blackballed from this industry. I remember I had about $6,000 in the bank saved. At the time, I was living off of, I was making, like, around $2,000 a month, a little more, but I was living a decent life. Good food. My rent was $500. I spent $1,000 on food, $100 on a phone or whatever. No, like 30. I had a flip phone still. I didn't have a smartphone. And the rest was, I didn't have a car. I just saved like $500 a month to travel. So I'd saved up $6,000. I took $2,000 of that and invested in a drug deal, which went wrong. Told the story on the other channel. I invested $2,000 in hiring a business coach, and then I moved into my friend's parents' basement. This was the law firm, my friend's dad's law firm. I had worked with this guy also as his assistant basketball coach. He was kind of a mentor to me. So I came and I moved in with them. They gave me 5 months in their basement, their fold-out couch, and I'm in a basement in Seattle in the wintertime. I have no warm clothes. I don't have proper clothes. I don't have a job. I don't have a car to get a job. And my Google history is trashed right now. It's like terrible. And now I have less than $1,000 in my bank account, right? So you guys think I had like it easy maybe, or that I have some kind of trust fund. But what are y'all going to do in that position? A lot of people kill themselves in that position, right? I was able to start an online business, which was coaching a Magic the Gathering, a service, a paid group. And it's crazy. From there, that same year, I started making, I think I had a $10,000 month or an $8,000 month. I think an annual revenue that I was doing like between maybe 60 or 70, and I was keeping 30, 40, 50 or something after expensing a bunch of stuff. So still wasn't doing amazing. I used that, parlayed it to move out to Hawaii. And then I was doing online business while working on the farm and living a really cheap life. So coming into 2020, there was another low point in 2019 where my businesses were kind of trickling off. I think it was 2019. And I remember my car broke down. And the deal on the farm was pretty good because I wasn't making much, but I wasn't paying rent or food. So I was making a little bit on top of that. I think my net worth was less than $4,000 in 2019, January, if I remember. So I didn't have a whole lot going on. But by 2020, I was just doing things well. Like my business was really popping off. I was really hustling. I was working on the farm 40 hours a week, getting paid like a little over $1,000 a month, but no food, no rent. And then I was making also, I don't know, a couple grand a month coaching. And I was able to save up about $20,000. And I used that to buy 2 Bitcoin. And I leveraged the position. I didn't know about perpetual futures. I used the 2 Bitcoin as collateral at Celsius to get money to buy another Bitcoin. And then I did that 2 more times. So I leveraged up, I don't know, I bought like 4 Bitcoin with my money. Now, this is where I did get some money. In 2020, or over from maybe 2017 to 2020, my dad got sick, went insane, and got basically interned in the medical system. Like he was saying, it's psychiatric wards, hospitals, losing track of him for periods of time. And 2020, March, he got COVID. He was one of the first Americans to get COVID, and he died. And I didn't get to be there to see him. Last words to him were, "I love you." And my expectation is we were going to receive nothing, because it seemed like he'd been running up these fat bills with the state, right? And he had gone insane with money. My mom was sorting through his finances. He had like 12 phone lines. He had been entrusted with his grandmother's estate of $1 million and had spent all of it. And my grandmother was still alive. And now she had no money. So he went insane, right? And so I assumed there was nothing. But it was like, okay, they do own a house. They have equity in a house. So what happened is the house got sold. Debts were paid. What was left, 60% went to my mom, 20% went to my brother, 20% went to me. So a house, cash, minus bills, or minus debts, 60% to my mom, 20% to me. So I did receive some money. Was a good amount of money. It wasn't crazy amount of. It wasn't enough money to buy a house. It was enough money to put a down payment on a house. And I didn't receive that though till February 2021. So I was already 34. Sorry, I was already 31 before I received anything, and it was also close to the top of the bull market. I mean, a lot of alts went higher, but Bitcoin didn't really. I think Bitcoin was at like 45 or 50 when I received any money. And I know it's higher now. It's 2020, 2024, 2025, you're seeing this. But, I mean, that money I received, I don't think it really made too much difference. It is what caused me to want to be interested in investing. I was like, hey, you're going to receive some money. You should learn how to invest. So, but yeah, it was from March. It took 11 months to receive anything. It's all good. It is true though that, I mean, just the middle class upbringing, put me in a better financial position, right? I was able to go to college and I didn't have college debt. So that's super lucky. And that's the main, but again, I worked the whole way through. I wasn't necessarily working, well, not the whole way through, but I was working in the summers and side hustling the whole way through the entire time. And despite all that, I mean, I got to some really low financial points, and I also dragged myself out. So, yeah, just to address the allegations. I mean, I think, is unnecessarily transparent here. But the point I want to give you is just through slow grinding, you can build up your equity, and it doesn't have to even be through investing. And if you don't have anything, there's no reason to invest. I mean, I didn't even invest in the market till I was 30. And there wasn't really a reason to, because I didn't have very much money, right? I only had like, say, a couple grand to spare. So my focus was on developing myself, living my life, and building business. So for a lot of you, I don't think trading and investing is even the way to go. I think what you want to do is you want to work on developing business. And then once you have a fat stack of like 10, 20,000, and then you're in a nice situation where you don't need it, then you can think about risking it. But yeah, for most of y'all, it doesn't matter. But that's the truth about my trust fund. Didn't have it. Middle class upbringing. My dad made 6 figures a couple years, but then he didn't, and never again. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, important detail I left out. I wish I had said this earlier. When I got canceled, I called my parents for help. And they said, we will not help you in any way other than maybe emotional support. We're not going to give you any money. You can't stay with us. That's why I moved into my friend's dad's basement, right? So this idea that my parents just were forking over money is just so ridiculous when they actually turned their back on me at my lowest point financially. Now, I don't resent them for that. I'm actually glad they did it because it taught me independence. And it taught me, I mean, it was kind of fucked up. It did teach me independence, though. And it taught me that I can fly. If I'm a bird on a branch and the branch breaks, I can fly. But yo, that was traumatic, man. I'm in a terrible financial state and emotional state. And my parents are like, we're not going to help you in any way. That's crazy, right? That's one of the greatest traumas I experienced in my life. I expected them to help me. That said, trauma is how we learn it as adults, and it forced my independence and to also never be back in that position again, right? Multiple streams of income. I was too dependent on one source of income, and when it was taken away, I had nothing, and I had to rebuild. As of today, I have 7 sources. I work the dolphin tours, I work my hiking adventures, I have 2 YouTube ad revs, I have my trading system, I have life coaching, and then I have whatever happens with my trading business itself. So that's seven sources. Yeah, security, baby. Let's go. So I'm not that rich, never been that rich. And I'm just a guy at the end of the day. So that's a little bit about my background. If you don't know me, go check out my other channel, Travis Wu. I share a lot of stories, okay? Anyways, appreciate y'all. Much love. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.